Hi everyone, it's Trishna, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the February 20th, 2022 portal, as well as a little bit of the February 22nd, 2022 portal. Now, before we get into these portals, I do want to mention that every day is a portal. Every day is a new day to manifest. Every day is a new day that can be full of opportunities. Every single day has numbers associated with it that can be added up and reduced using numerology. So if you miss a portal, it's okay. Just know that every day can be a portal for you. But whenever numbers align and there is a lot of focus from the New Age or spiritual community onto it, then there is a little bit more of an oomph, a little bit more of a boost to the energy because so many minds are focused on it. So that's what makes them a little more special, but honestly, any day can be a portal. So that's the number one thing that I want you guys to take away from this. Now, there are some astrological implications to the February 22nd, 2022 portal, which we're going to get into as well. But I want to mention one other thing about the February 20th, 2022 portals. So what makes these portals important? We see 2 for February, 20, which has a 2, and then 2022. So lots of 2s. There's a lot of numbers that are aligning. So that's the first thing that makes these portals special, is there are aligning numbers. The other thing about February 20th, 2022 is it is a palindrome. So if you write the date the way that a lot of the world writes the date, they put the 20th, so the day of the month, then the year. So it's 2002, 2022. And that number reversed, 2022, 02, 20, is the same as the other way around. So that makes it a palindrome, which makes it even more potent and aligned. So that's one thing to mention about all of this. Okay, so what is this energy all about, especially for the February 20th, 2022 portal? So what this energy is about is it is a time when we are starting to come to terms with the things about ourselves that we usually keep hidden. The things about ourselves that we don't really want to look at, that we want to shun or ignore. And we're starting to come to terms with it, and we're starting to switch around this cycle. Normally, for example, whenever we get angry or we feel like we have lashed out at somebody, we then feel guilt, we feel shame, we feel bad because we think, oh, I was angry. A lot of times in culture, we're taught that anger is a bad emotion. There are good emotions we're taught, and there are bad emotions that we are taught. But so when that happens, when we lash out or when we set our boundaries, for some of us, we feel bad and we go to war with ourselves where we're like, well, I feel like I needed to express myself, but oh, you shouldn't have expressed yourself. So you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I feel like with this portal, we are finally coming to terms with our feelings and being honest about them and not just seeing them as a bad thing, but starting to see the benefits of that and putting to end or putting to rest this internal war. So when we think about anger, we may have been feeling angry or bored or isolated of late. And whenever we think about those feelings, we can now see the positives to it. When I'm angry, sometimes that's what I need to get the job done. And it's effective. Okay, anger can be effective. When I'm angry, I feel empowered. I feel like I stood up for myself. Angry can be an empowerment energy. Isolation, if we have been feeling like we have been isolating or keeping to ourselves, not really putting ourselves out there, we may now look at it as though, you know what, isolation has allowed me to look within, spend time with myself, maybe explore new hobbies or interests, or go even more deeply into it and to really connect with me, the me that I am. If we have been feeling bored, maybe that boredom, we're starting to look at it as, oh, you know, like I maybe need a reset in my life, or it's giving me a chance to relax because I don't know what to do. I'm too bored to know what to do. And so finally I'm sitting here in my boredom not doing anything, which is giving me a chance to relax. So we're finally looking at the aspects of ourselves in a more positive light, starting to see the benefits and starting to end this back and forth war that we tend to have within ourselves. So with the Leo full moon that just passed, and really the energy was potent up until the 19th, so, you know, a day before this portal, what we were working on with the Leo full moon was are bringing to light, bringing to the surface the little monsters that were eating away at our dreams and starting to address them. Now we're going from the dreams and focusing not just on what we want to bring into our lives, but our whole lives, how we operate as who we are. Our manifestation desires, our dreams, our goals are just one little aspect of the all that we are. So we're expanding this search within ourselves, this bringing to the surface the things that we used to call negative, and we're expanding it to not just specific dreams and goals, but to all of ourselves, how we react in daily life in all areas. And what the February 22nd, 2022 portal is all about is going to be expanding that even larger to the world and looking at the world and seeing what do we like about what's going on and what do we not like about what's going on, and how do we start looking at the things that we don't like, that we don't approve of, the causes that we have been ignoring that we now will want to be a part of, and how do we start transforming that energy. So we're going to take it even bigger in just 2 days to a greater vision, to really start bringing to surface again the darkness, but on an even bigger scale, so we can address it and bring light to it and actually do something about it. So that is what this portal is about for February 20th, 2022. It is about looking at our lives and how we're reacting and ending this war within ourselves. And then on the 22nd, we're going to be looking at the whole world and trying to figure out how to end the wars that we keep fighting, generation after generation, century after century, and finally deciding that we want to start putting an end to that. And now is the start of that. So that is what the portals energetically are here to share with us. Now, there are a few other things. So we are entering into Pisces season now, and Pisces is the dreamer. It's the one that likes to have this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed look at things, but it's also the last sign of the zodiac and the last sign in a cycle, the 12th house of your personal natal chart. So yes, it can be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and very dreamlike, but that Pisces energy is also really important for a few different things. Number one, it is the last sign of the zodiac, so it is the most mature sign. It is a sign that has been through all of the other signs. It is a you that has matured through everything and now can look with more reflection. As you go through life, you start off as a baby, like an Aries. You're new, you're immature, but you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed in that sense. And then you go through life, and then at the end of your life, especially if you are able to go through life and enter old age before you pass on, you enter that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed cycle again, or that more easygoing nature, because now you've seen it all. And now you've seen that, the dramas of our teenage years or our childhood years are so minuscule in respect to the bigger picture. So you have matured over those years and you can be dreamy again, and you can kind of reminisce or relate to teens in your life who are going through a lot of drama and think everything is a big deal. And you're just like, oh, you can relate to that and you can understand that from a mature perspective, but also you're easygoing. You understand that it's just so small in the bigger scheme of things. So we're in this more spiritual time where we can really look at the things that we may be creating as drama in our lives. We may be thinking that our anger, it hurts somebody, and maybe it did, and maybe we do need to come to terms with that, but we're not fighting with ourselves anymore. We had this Pisces energy that's saying, yeah, let's look at it. Yeah, let's notice it. Let's be mature. But also let's look at that little thing in the grand scheme of things and not make such a big deal out of it and resolve it with a more dreamlike essence. Now, Pisces, I feel, is also that sign of the hopeless romantic. They're all full of love, and this is the time of love. Valentine's Day happens in the sign of Aquarius, but it's really entering into the sign of Pisces. So I see Pisces as a sign of love, and that's how we want to treat the darkness that we see in our dreams, like with the Leo full moon, the darkness that we see in terms of how we deal with things and the internal war, and give it love. And then soon the darkness that we see in the world that we want to give love to and acceptance to as well, because when we fight with ourselves, we go nowhere. But when we can finally address it and see the benefits of how things have been, that's when that back and forth war cycle ends, and when we finally feel empowered to change our behavior. When we feel upset or guilty about being angry, we get stuck in these cycles of wanting to express ourselves and then lashing out, wanting to express ourselves and then lashing out, and receding and being quiet, but then lashing out, receding and being quiet because we feel guilty, and then lashing out. And we can't get out of that because we haven't resolved it inside. We haven't accepted the lashing out as just a part of a cycle that can change. But once we really understand that with this February 20th, 2022 portal, once we can understand that, we can end the cycle and we can bring about something that's more empowering. We can bring about standing up for ourselves and feeling empowered and getting the job done, but in a more mature Piscean spiritual way versus the more Aries way, I guess you could say, which that's coming up soon, where it's more lashing out, the more immature way. We're maturing is what is happening right now in the energy. So let me just look at my notes really quickly here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the astrology portion of this. So Pluto is going to be entering its return on February 22nd, 2022. Now, I have a lot of caveats around this, or a lot of like minor issues with this. So one of the reasons why the February 22nd, 2022 portal is so big in the United States is because Pluto is returning to its original place that it was in 1776, when they say that America was founded. And I suppose you could say that the present day America was founded then, but I have my issues with that because America was not discovered. Sorry about that, my alarm was going off. But I have a little bit of issues with that because America was technically still there, just in a different form from before. But if we're going to go by empires, I guess, then 1776 is the birth of present day America, and Pluto is returning to its spot where it was from over 200 years ago. I think it was 246 years ago. So Pluto has finally returned to its original placement. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means that there are a lot of things that are going to be coming up to the surface now, because Pluto rules Scorpio. Scorpio is the 8th house. The 8th house is about all those things that we don't really look at, all those things under the darkness, but it's also about transformation. So this is definitely a time where things are coming up to the surface. That's probably why I'm picking up on it for the Leo full moon, and then again for the February 20th, 2022 portal, and then now for the February 22nd, 2022 portal. Is a lot of things are coming up to the surface, and a lot of transformation is going to happen. A lot of changes are getting ready to happen. Now, one other thing to note about the number 2 is 2000 and 2020. Both of those are big 2-oriented years, oriented numbers, and those were both pretty pivotal for the world at large. In 2000, a whole new millennium, the whole craze and the whole fear that came with that, and that was crazy times. And then 2022, that's when COVID really started to take over the world and just spread everywhere. So that was pretty pivotal. So 2022 may be a very pivotal year as well, just because it is about transformation, I guess, especially when you add on the Pluto element having its return back to its original place, at least in the United States, for when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So that is what I want to share with you for the for the February 20th, 2022 portal, as well as the 22nd portal for February. This really is a time for you to really reconcile the war within that has been going on within. And I'm actually probably going to have a video up tomorrow that I filmed earlier about the good versus evil war in the spiritual community. So that was really great timing too, because I only looked into the portal after that. So yeah, I guess this really is the energy right now. So yeah, so this really is a time to focus on the self. What are the ways that we have been shaming ourselves, guilting ourselves, feeling bad about ourselves, and really starting to understand what's going on and see the benefits, see the silver lining of the situation, so we can get ourselves out of the cycle and start doing something different. Because when we feel like we should do something or feel like we're shamed for doing something, we just get stuck in that same cycle over and over and over again. Only when we release it, when we let ourselves see the light, can we leave it. And then with the 22nd, doing the same thing, but at a global scale, and really looking at the world and what we want it to be, and realizing that we have more control over that than we ever thought before. We're not just this person in the world that's small. I mean, in a sense we are, but we do have a say. We can work together, we can make change, and we can want better. We just have to remember that we want better. We just have to know that we can have better. So this concludes the video. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you enjoy the February 20th, 2022 portal, but I hope that you enjoy every other day as well, because every day, again, can be a portal, and I will see you in my next video.